emergence of a rules-based international system. Russia's actions in Crimea run roughshod across all of these fundamental principles and threaten the future of Ukraine. I pay tribute, Mr. Speaker, to the extraordinary restraint shown by the Ukrainian government, its military forces, and its people in the face of immense provocation, with part of their country invaded and tens of thousands of forces massed on their border by a neighbour that refuses to rule out further military intervention against them. There is a grave danger of a provocation elsewhere in Ukraine that becomes a pretext for further military escalation. We are working urgently to agree the mandate of an expanded OSCE monitoring mission to all parts of the country in the coming days. On Friday, I met US Secretary of State John Kerry and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov before their bilateral talks here in London. Russia was presented with a series of proposals to de-escalate the crisis and to address the situation in Crimea. After 6 hours of talks, Russia rebuffed these efforts, and on Sunday the referendum went ahead. The Crimean authorities claimed a turnout of 83% of the population, with 96.8% voting in favour of joining Russia. Yesterday, the Parliament of Crimea formally applied to join the Russian Federation, and President Putin signed a decree recognizing Crimea as a sovereign state. He has now announced in the last 2 hours new laws to incorporate Crimea into the Russian Federation. It was regrettable. I'll give way once I've completed this passage of my speech. It was regrettable to hear President Putin today choosing the route of isolation, denying the citizens of his own country and of Crimea partnership with the international community and full membership of a range of international organizations, and Russia's right to help shape the 21st century in a positive manner. No amount of sham and perverse democratic process or skewed historical references can make up for the fact that this is an incursion into a sovereign state and a land grab of part of its territory with no respect for the law of that country or for international law. I'll just complete this point and then I'll give way, of course, to one of my honourable friends. The referendum was clearly illegal under the Ukrainian constitution, which states that the Autonomous Republic of Crimea is an integral constituent part of Ukraine, can only resolve issues related to its authority within the provisions of the constitution, and that only the Ukrainian parliament has the right to call such referendums. I give way to my honourable friend from Norfolk was first, Danny.
Very grateful to the Foreign Secretary giving way so early in his speech. But would you agree with me also that any referendum held of a barrel of a gun and on an electoral roll that is manifestly not fit for purpose really cannot be taken seriously?
Yes, this was a vote in circumstances where Crimea was occupied by over 20,000 Russian troops, and indeed the meeting of the Crimean parliament that announced the referendum was itself controlled by unidentified armed gunmen and took place behind locked doors. I give way to the honourable member.
Thank you very much. So does the Foreign Secretary acknowledge...
We'll leave William Hague in the Commons there, but got a flavour of what he's saying. He described Russia's moves in Crimea as an incursion into a sovereign state and a land grab of its territory with no respect for international law. We've also heard from the Prime Minister via his official spokesperson saying the Prime Minister's view is that we would want the Russian government not to escalate but de-escalate, and emphasise there is still an opportunity to do that, but it hasn't happened yet. So that's political reaction here to what's been happening on Crimea this morning. Vladimir Putin signing into law the incorporation of Crimea into Russia. Well, in a few minutes' time, Simon McCoy will be here with the news at 1. First, though, let's catch up with the weather. Alex Deakin has the details for us.